Started on my
Yeah,
Zoom.
started.
Right. Okay. Three,
Yeah.
two, one. All right. So welcome. If anyone's watching, hello. Welcome to the first episode of my podcast. And the name of the podcast hasn't been decided yet. It's either going to be trash talks or television. I haven't picked one out of these. So okay. So for my first podcast, I have Rameshwar, who is uh, who is an engineer, I guess, by profession, but he's also a book writer. He's written a book. He's keen on understanding philosophy, and he hosts his own podcast called Mind Track. So, Ram, welcome to the first episode of my podcast. How do you feel? Do you feel honored?
Yeah, I do feel honored. Thank you for hosting me. This is a kind of a surprise for me because being an introvert, I don't get along with people much. And this is my, I would say, second podcast episode out of my own space. So first was with
Hello. Alright. There's an internet issue, I guess, already. I don't know. So it seems like there's an internet issue from Ram's side. Alright. Sorry for the inconvenience again. Alright, so I don't know what to do now. There's an internet issue from his side. I guess he'll be joining back. Yes, he's back.
hello.
Hi, hi. What happened?
Sorry, there was a power cut. We
Oh,
can we start from the beginning?
huh?
Can we start from the beginning?
I, shall we? I mean, it's fine. The more unconventional it gets, the better it is.
Okay. So I don't think so you can see my face as of now
No,
because of the
not
camera.
at all. Not at all. It's
No, no,
okay.
times.
Actually.
So the thing is, this is my second podcast episode out of my own space because one that I did with my office colleagues, and this is with you, obviously. And yeah, I'm honored. I'm honored that you found me interesting and to host me in your podcast and in your space. Thank you.
Well. See, can you like switch on some flashlight or something? Like only if you can.
Just a moment, I'll try with my phone.
Yeah, it's fine. I guess. I think I saw some light. Okay, that's a screen light, right?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yes.
it looks great. Okay, so let's see. The reason I called you, I chose you for the first episode of my podcast is that I think you are somewhat like a better version of me. You're like very much. I guess we are very much alike, but you're just one step ahead always. I wanted to write a book, and you've already
Mm.
written a book. I wanted to start a podcast. You're already on it. I I'm doing engineering. You're already an engineer, right? Right. By
So
the way,
maybe I'm you. Yeah, I was you when I was your age.
yeah,
Maybe could be.
maybe yes. So, I don't know what do you do as an occupation?
I work for a MNC. I am the point is my profession and my education doesn't match.
Okay.
Actually, I'm working as a what to say, a reporting analyst,
Hmm.
a financial analyst for a company. So that's what I do.
Okay. What made you from when did you start your this quest of art and philosophy?
Quest of art was from my childhood. It is from when I was a kid. I like to read. I like to explore things. But the quest of philosophy started in my mid 20s when I started understanding things in my own way, and I had my own questions. When I asked people, they had their own perspectives. So I wanted to know, understand what the real perspective is, where it all started from. And what I found out was there is no real perspective, there is no forms. Everybody have their own perspective, and things go on like that.
Yeah.
So every good, every bad, or everything that is beyond, people have their own perspective, and even the philosophers that we talk about have their own perspective. So I'm just studying everything in my own way. So,
Yeah. I also started this journey of philosophy in my, like, I guess I was 20, yes, exactly 20. That's when I started. The first book that I bought was the philosophy book by DK Publication. It's a great book. It's like an encyclopedia of
mhm,
every, like, it contains 45 or 50 philosophers and just a brief of what their major philosophies were about.
mhm.
So I remember the day that I bought the book, my mom said, "You're not going to read philosophy because people who read philosophy, they go crazy." And I asked her why. Like, a friend of her, when she was in college, a friend of her also opted for philosophy. So she said, my friend, like, she went crazy. She started asking weird questions like, what is the meaning of life and stuff like that. I said, that's the question. Those are the questions that I already asked, right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yes,
before
exactly.
reading
See,
philosophy,
that is where it starts.
yeah, yeah,
That is
that's
where
when
it
it
starts.
starts.
When you start asking the question, why I'm here and what is the purpose of life? Where is it taking me? That is the existential questions that we start asking in our 20s.
Hmm.
So if some people, what they do is they they brush the those questions under the carpet and they move on with their life.
Hmm.
But some people venture into those questions and they try to find the answers. That is when they go crazy, as people say.
Uh, so, what do you think is that compels a person to ask such questions because this happens always, I guess, at a particular age, around 20s also.
That is quite easy. See, that is when you are entering the world. Until that time, you will be under somebody's shadow. You will be pampered by your parents. You will have friends. You will have your life will be mundane. You'll go to school. You'll come back. You write your exams. You get your results. That's it. But when you enter college, you will see another world. That is a real world. At least a part of your real world. So at that point of time is when everything changes. Your biology changes, your surrounding changes. That is when you start looking at the brighter side and the darker side of the world. So that is when you will ask the question, why? Why is it happening to me? What am I to do with that? And how to do that? How to go about that? So that is where the bigger question comes in. So that is why it happens in the mid 20s or the early 20s at least.
Yeah. See, one thing I guess about philosophy is what baffles me the most is that I guess, like, it from when I started reading philosophy, I think that there are like two ways to live life. One uh, who again who works for acquiring knowledge, right? Who reads philosophy and then he dwells about, he contemplates and thinks about a lot of stuff, and then he makes his own opinions and own, he sort of makes his own philosophy, right? And then there is the other the majority of people, they don't think about these questions, and as you said, okay, what, all right, man, the meeting will end in 10 minutes. Like, I have to upgrade the subscription.
That's that's not a problem. We can continue this, but to answer your question, see, as you say, there are two things: the life of a philosopher, and the philosophy that he preaches. See, when you read the philosophers,
Okay. This this couldn't have been worse than the best for the first podcast that I'm recording. I have no idea. I think I'm going to keep these parts in. I'm not going to cut any of it because it's only going to increase the hassle of me recording audio and video because I'm recording video on Zoom and then I'm also recording audio from my phone. So I have to slice things up and edit. It's just going to increase my hassle. So I'm going to keep these parts and then the call has been dropped. I don't know. Okay, yeah, right. Yeah. No, you're not audible. Okay, you're connecting the audio. All right. Yes,
Can
you
you see?
are. Yeah.
Ah, okay. So what I was telling was, see, the two thing is the philosopher's life and the philosophy that he lives by. For example, when you look at Nietzsche's life, the Friedrich Nietzsche's life, his life and what he preached was completely different. So that is why when he died, he said he told his mom that I failed was his last message to his mother because he was talking about Übermensch, where the man should become a superman. Man should become the higher self of what he is. But the life he lived was not that super, is what I would say. He secluded himself. He went into exile, self exile, and he wrote his philosophy, and that is what it is. When you want to become a philosopher, you have to try out all the philosophies. It is not like one philosophy. You have to learn all the philosophies, and the time when you choose the right philosophy for you, it will be quite late. That is why they say you live, and what you have to do is you live by one philosophy, and whatever philosophy you live by, you can relate it to the philosophers that has talked about it. So you can be a
Mm.
nihilist, you can be existentialist, you can be what sophist, you can be a stoic, you can be anything. Live by that, live by one philosophy.
Yeah. So okay. So again, going back to the questions that I asked. So there's a like a conventional way of living, the society which the society sets for us, like
Hmm,
this
hmm,
Procrustean set of rules that one must follow and live by.
hmm,
Like you grow up, you go to college, you get a job, you get married. That's how it is in India. You make babies and then you grow old, take care of them, take responsibility, and then you die. So it's. Can you hear me? Your video is stuck. Uh, can you
One?
can can you hear me?
Now yes.
Okay, okay. So again, so there's this Procrustean way of living that the society sets for us, and most of the people they live by that. They don't read philosophy. They don't even read books, and they live just in complete ignorance, and they spend their
Hmm,
lives like that. Sometimes
hmm,
I wonder, like the from the day that I started reading philosophy, I guess uh, I can relate to this quote more than any other, that ignorance is
hmm.
bliss. Right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
people who live in ignorance, they are so away, like secluded from this entire. Because there's so much on this side, right? There's existentialism, there's nihilism, so many uh, distinct ways of lives, right? Of living
Hmm,
lives.
hmm, hmm,
So once you start reading all that, once you start taking all these ideas from all these philosophers and all these philosophies from them, you get more confused on what should I do in life, how should I live, and this and that. Like you go through an existential phase and then nihilist phase once you read Nietzsche and everything. So
Yes.
what?
What I would say is, as you said, ignorance is bliss at the beginning stage. But see, this is where what I said comes in handy. You live by your philosophy, whatever it is. Don't live by the set rules. You make your own rules. You set your morale. You set your version of yourself, and you live by that. When you have a confusion, go back to the philosophers. That is philosophers philosophy should be taken as a reference. That is what I feel. Existentialism, one person can follow all the philosophies. For example, if you are working in a company, you can be a communist, you can be a capitalist at the same time. I'll tell you how. If you are a manager, okay, when your subordinate comes to you for a performance review, at that point of a time, you have to be a capitalist. Okay, you have to say the company did not do well, there is no profits, so I cannot give you any bonus or something. And you can be a capitalist at that point of a time. But when you are going to appraise yourself to your manager, you have to be a communist. You have to talk like you want the fair share that you deserve,
Hmm.
right? So that is where the philosophies come in. You can be a nihilist, you can be an existentialist, you can be also a stoic. So there can be phases of your life where you are everything. But only thing is, when you have questions, you can refer philosophers as as a reference or as an encyclopedia. If you are reading philosophy as a subject, and if you are hell bent on going with one philosopher or one philosophy, then it will be a problem, because uh, you will have one straight line of path, and the whole world will be either tangential, or sometimes it can be parallel, but mostly it will be tangential.
Yeah.
So you'll find it difficult to cope up with the world that there is. So what you can do is, either you have one philosophy and bend to it, or else you'll break. That is where people, the philosophers, break, because they are hell bent with one idea, and they go with the try to go with the world, but the world will not accept them as they are. Every time, that is where people break. Every great philosophers break at one point because of that, because the whole world becomes tangential to them, perpendicular to them, and they try to stop them.
Hmm.
So that is get caught, or they get crazy. That is why people call philosophers crazy people, because every idea that they post, it will be outwardly, or sometimes
Unconventional.
unconventional. So it is like, what you can do is, you can be unconventional. You be unconventional in your own way. Don't if you're breaking at a point, you have to go back to the philosophers for reference.
Yeah, I remember this quote by Alan Watts. He says that crazy is nothing but unconventional. What just if someone is so unconventional that he doesn't follows any convention of the society, so the society calls that person crazy. Yeah,
Exactly. Even in movie making, if you see, the unconventional people make the most beautiful movies.
yeah, it's true. Yeah. Do you watch a lot of movies?
I used to, but now I don't. Unfortunately, I used to watch when I was in my college. Every day, I used to watch a movie. Minimum one, maximum three. So that was a time, but now I could not.
Okay. Ah, okay. All right. So, all right. So, yeah. So you were talking about the movies that you watched in your college.
Yes, when I was in my college, they were quite. It was a quite good time for me. I had time, so I could watch movies. Now, not that much.
Are you interested in cinema?
Uh, Actually, yes and no. As an art, yes, but now it has become more. You know, it is more of entertainment
Hmm.
uh, kind of a thing. How do I explain this? Uh, I don't feel it. is more realistic. It is far from realistic, but even the fiction part, it is not too catchy
Maybe it's not meaningful. Right? It doesn't add any
yes,
meaning to
not
your
really.
life. It's just
Yeah,
like it doesn't make any like it. Like so, okay. A friend of mine, he watches Big Boss, right? Do you know what Big
okay.
Boss is?
Yeah, 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 I know.
So it's Big Boss is a terrible, terrible show. I guess like it again. It's like no meaning. There's
But I'll
nothing.
tell you one thing. I'll tell you one thing. Even in
Yeah.
my own podcast, I've mentioned this. Big Boss has one good philosophy to it.
Okay.
It has a philosophy. I'll tell you why. See,
Alright.
when you are being watched
Hmm.
24/7, you know that you are being watched 24/7. Your characteristics change. The way
Okay.
you react to things and the way you act to people will change.
All right.
That is kind of uh, a psychological. I would say it is a psychological experiment that we can do on people, and it is kind of a psychological experiment that they are doing, kind of a social experiment that is happening there. So if you don't watch it for a drama, you can watch it for philosophy. You have what, 20 people,
Hmm.
almost 20
And
people that
yes,
are
maybe.
there, and uh,
Probably 20. Yeah.
20 people, and 20 people have different characters, and if you relate them to your own people around, and if you see them as the people around you, and if you can relate them to them, then you will know how people act when they are being watched and how people act when they are not being watched. See, that is one, that is what I was talking about. Panopticon is a concept where you will know you are being watched, but you will not know from where and by whom. And
Panopticon.
your characteristic will change according to that.
Okay. I'll note that down. Panoptic.
Panopticon, yeah.
Okay. So, but even if it happens for such a prolonged time, like it's for 3 months, I guess the program. Do people?
Ah,
So you're saying that people
yes,
they are
yes. It's
not
for 100 days.
themselves when they are being watched, right? The actual self, right?
uh, they cannot be, that is the reason, they even the program producers, they trigger to see how best they can bring out their own characters,
Yeah.
the drama that they create inside, and that will bring out the real color of people. Otherwise, see, you will not do anything when you have cameras around you in your hostel. You cannot even talk. Some people will not even talk. They will just smile, they will say hi, and they will move around. That's it.
Yeah.
The drama is created, it's catalyzed. Their character there is catalyzed. So if you look at it as a philosophical or a psychological point of view, it is a experiment that they are doing with people, and they are monetizing it.
That's right. You see, I often think like
This is
if
another
I'm
way of
going to
looking at it.
go, huh? Yeah, that is
That
true.
it is another way.
I
Hmm.
used to think like if I'm going to go in Big Boss, if I get a chance one day, I'll go inside the house and I'll become a contestant just to see if I can like remain calm. Like I think that I'm not going to because in the house what happens is they fight just to get footage or like they get easily provoked and there's
Yes,
also a
that's what.
reason
That is
because
the reason. They want to be in the limelight. Each and every one of them will think that they want to be the limelight of the show.
hmm,
People have to talk about them instead of the other 19 people.
hmm.
So everybody will be,
That thing, it seems to me very extravagant sense of hypocrisy. Like it's heightened hypocrisy to me. to change yourself
Exactly.
when you're being watched, or to change yourself for the society, right? Because
Yes,
like
it is
that's very,
obviously hypocrisy.
yeah, go on,
That
go
is
on.
that is what that is what the show is about. It brings out the people's hypocrisy in that,
That's true.
or
But
they make them more hypocritic. Only when they come out, their real characters comes out.
yeah, but I don't think a lot of people, they watch, they see through that they understand. Okay, this person was he's such a hypocrite, because hypocrisy, I guess, is everywhere. Like the entire social media, you have to see every influencer or every creator. Even to me, it seems like even selling art or putting up art on social media is somewhat hypocritic, I guess. Like I wrote an essay on this, that one day I asked myself, where am I going with the art that I'm creating? What is the future of it? Can I sustain my? Am I looking to sustain my living, sustain my life through my art? That is to sell it, or what am I trying to do? Am I trying to become a content creator, or a conventional Instagram poster? So I started thinking about that, and I thought a lot about it, and I reached a conclusion that an artist is really nothing without its audience. Like an artist needs its audience and appreciation in order to call himself or herself an artist, right? So, do you think that an artist should sell its art, or capitalize on it, or like just make art? Like there's this another person that I follow on Instagram, and he creates beautiful pictures. He's a photographer and editor, and he is an amazing photo editor and photographer. So, but he doesn't promote his stuff. He just posts it online. So when I posted this, the essay that I wrote, I sent him and I asked him, "What do you think about this? Do you think an artist should, like, do you feel that you are an hypocrite when you upload your images on Instagram?" And he says, "No, I do it for charity." Right? And that's all he said. Like it's just charity. I just give it to people.
See, now the whole world is moving towards the economic trend. So, where I'm getting to is, if you're an artist who was already established, you will not have a problem. But when you are artist who is just now starting and who wants to grow, you should have an audience. So for that, you should promote yourself. It is not being hypocrite. You are just spreading your idea. So you have to spread your idea. Otherwise, you will not get an audience for yourself, as we say. And selling art. See, Vincent Van Gogh, right?
Yeah.
When he started, he has not sold one piece of art.
Mm.
In when he was alive, only one piece of art of his was sold. Only after his demise, all his art skyrocketed. So, but he was broke, completely broke. His brother was the one who supported him and gave him money. Even for paint, he could not buy the paint. In today's situation, that will not be the case. If I'm a good artist, and if I'm broke, if I have a brother, he will not support me. He will say, go get your own paint.
Mm.
Because the whole world, the concept of art has changed, and the outlook has changed. So if I have to sustain myself, and if I have to make art itself, I have to make money.
Yeah.
So in that case, I have to promote my art.
Mm.
If I'm like starting from the beginning, if I'm a well established an author or an artist, I can just post it somewhere and people will come and buy it by themselves. I need not even promote it. So
Mm.
it depends on where you come from. uh, I'll not say it is hypocritic. I will say it is a way to sustain art. Otherwise, people who make art will be underwhelmed, and they may also stop making art. First you have to have money to sustain yourself.
Yeah. Uh, do you think that following or making passion into a job, like taking your passion as a job, does it kill your passion or does it only increases your love for it?
This is a good question. Actually, even this depends upon people how they take it. There are I know photographers who have taken my friends who have taken their passion as a profession, and they are doing good. They're doing good. Only thing is you should overcome that point of time. Like every profession, be it your passion or be it the thing that you do it for money, you will have a point where you break,
Yeah.
where you will not have any idea of what you're doing and where you're going. So
Okay.
if you cross that stage, your passion or your profession or the passion turn profession will be better, will be good. So that breaking point you have to cross first. And taking your passion will not it will not be bad. It will only give you an edge over what you're doing, but you have to do it with conviction, and you should have a proper planning of what you're doing.
Okay. See, the problem with that I face, I see, here's where I disagree with Nietzsche. See,
Hmm.
Friedrich Nietzsche says that you have to basically he says that chase one thing, right? Whatever you're passionate about, you
Hmm.
chase that,
Hmm.
right? And he says, look back at your life, whatever you felt happy with, you pick that and you go with it,
Hmm.
right? And you follow
Hmm.
that with all your heart. See, I always think that the more things you try, just statistically speaking, there is of things, probability of being passionate about things, it only increases with the more number of things that you try. And like you have tried only five, followed like let's say cricket, basketball, photography, horse riding. You've done only these four things. Now your passion will lie in this domain only. Maybe out of these four or something related with these, right? So
Hmm. Hmm.
because so basically the thing that you haven't ever tried, you won't feel passionate about that, right? So the more things you try, the chances of being passionate about more than one thing only increases. So why should I be passionate about only one thing and chase that? Why shouldn't I just continue this quest of trying out new things and exploring and experiencing new things as much as I can? And that's just live my life like that, just trying out new things instead of focusing on one thing and owning that and to achieve that.
Okay. See, there are two things. See, you can be a cricketer. You can have a passion towards owning bikes. You can be a racer also. So it is like, but what happens is you have to pick one, because one how do I say that? One as a profession, because you have to put your whole to that. You might not work 9 to 5 for that, but you have to have a consistency to that. If you have more than one passion, no, you will not be consistent to everything. So today you will be one, tomorrow at the same time. If you are a cricketer and a basketball player, if the tournament of both come coincides with each other, where
Yeah.
you will go?
Yeah.
So you have to be consistent with one thing, so that even if you lose the other, you will not be you can have it as a, backup plan, but consistency will be with only one thing, so that you can prioritize it easily and you can chase it easily. It is only the matter of priority, where you put your priority in. You can have n number of passions, or hobbies, or however you call it, but one consistent thing is where your heart should be, so that you can prioritize that and you will not get confused.
And that, I think, this idea of is focusing on one thing, and it's very relevant in our society, especially I see around me, everyone is now an entrepreneur. They want to do startup and everything. So it becomes, see, one thing becomes a trope, and people, they blindly they follow that, right? And they focus on that and they follow it because of this ideology of focusing on one thing and owning it, and achieving it. This thing, because of, so what it results into, the problem that I have with this is that it results into people trying out less number of things. They only focus on one thing and they cut out all the other possibilities, just exploring and living life to the fullest. They cut all that out and they focus on one thing, and they, like, for example, entrepreneurship and making money, doing a startup and becoming very rich. So I have a friend in college who, whenever he talks about his future, he talks about, one day I want to own a car, I want to own this car, I want to own that car, and I want to impress this girl and that girl. It's always about money, right? It's always about becoming very rich so that everyone respects me and everyone loves me and all that. That thing is realistic. Okay, you can make that much amount of money if you work very hard, but what happened to the other things, right? The So what I told him today is that, why do you want to make money, right? Why do you want to become rich? Right? Then there will be a feeling that you are chasing, right? That feeling of maybe feeling above everyone else, statistically
Mm.
speaking. Maybe you're chasing that. So I always advise people to don't focus on one thing, but just turn your head around and look at, there are so many, life is full of opportunities, and there are so many things you can learn, you can read. So this guy, he reads only self-help books, right? Think Rich Dad Poor Dad, grow, like, Think and Grow Rich and
I
everything.
I'm one of the person who despise self-help books.
I also see, that's why, see, you are very similar to me, right? I told you that we are very much alike. I hate self-help books. Right? But
And I don't believe in the superficial positivity that they bring in, like be positive
I
and
just call
don't
it
look at
pseudo philosophy. That's all it is. The real self-help is philosophy, right?
Yes, yes. The raw philosophy is where the real thing is. But the only problem is people don't understand the raw philosophy. That is why, if you see the self-help books, it draws the energy from the philosophy,
Philosophy.
and it breaks it down into pieces, and it is easy to consume. But the real thing is there. But anyway, to get to your point, people obviously people will be in their comfort zone. People will take the most taken path. They will not diverge from the normal, and it is getting worse and worse every following decades. Now we don't. How many good artists do you know now? Who Da Vinci or Vincent Van Gogh or Jason Pollock. Most the artists and the good writers are, whatever we remember, are from period before. Now you don't have that good literary writers, or there are good writers, but not as much, not
Hmm.
as much with content and all. So it is like people. This is the reason people don't take you know a different path. They take the most comfortable zone to reach the top. What I will say is, if you want to become an artist, become an artist. If you want to become a writer, become a writer. But be the best of your trade. If you want to become an artist, become Vincent Van Gogh, or become Leonardo da Vinci, who with whatever they had, they created history. At least try to be them,
Hmm.
so that you can put your ideas in such a way that it will it will be on top of the world.
Hmm.
It is not like you have to make money. Whatever you make, it should be the best of what you make.
Yeah.
You think only of that, it'll be easy to make it. It is not
Hmm.
money always, but money matters because it puts food on your plate.
Hmm.
If you're contented with three time meal, roof over your head, and clothes to wear, it's okay. It's enough. Some people, they want all posh life, a bush car. So let them live their life.
But do you think that is hypocritical?
Obviously,
So, like, okay, when you were in college, you started when did you started reading philosophy while you were in college?
yes and no. Actually, most of the part no. Mostly it was literature and fiction. It was mostly into science fiction,
Okay.
not philosophy. Philosophy was the later part, the pure philosophy.
Did you regret being so late uh, in being
Regret being a
introduced? Did you regret being so late in being introduced with philosophy in your life?
yes, actually, because I what I thought was if I did know those concepts before, I could have uh, made something new. Because at that point of a time, I had very different ideas, and which was actually I could to most of the philosophers some ideas that are already in philosophies in papers that I had. So maybe if I had known these philosophers earlier, maybe I could have grown my ideas, and I could have put it into words, made good things. So yeah, I do regret.
So, okay, see, the reason that I think I started following you on Instagram, right? I saw your profile and I saw that you've written a book, and that's why I guess I followed you. And also, you post about philosophy, right? So that both of the things I'm very interested in. And I asked for the PDF of your book, and
Mm.
I'm very sorry I didn't read the I forgot to read the book. I'm very sorry,
Okay,
right?
no worries.
But yeah, tell me about your book. What is the book about? And if there are spoilers, don't give them because I'm going to read the book now.
I don't think so. There are spoilers. I don't write to the twist and all, and it is a 30-page book, so there are no much spoilers in that. It is a 7-chapter book.
Hmm.
Okay, it travels. It is about one guy. It is a travel of his life, and he asks the questions. Whatever you've asked, he asks the same kind of questions, and he understands that at the end of his life, there is sixth chapter, I think so. He writes a suicide note. He tries to kill himself. He writes a suicide note. At that point of a time, he realizes that asking question, like thinking, is the best way of living. Like like there is a saying goes, no, I think therefore I am.
Yes.
So he asks questions, and he gets the answer for that. He gets it answered. Every chapter he gets one question answered, and that is why he is living, and he wants to live more. So he aborts the suicide mission and he gets back to his life. So that is his. And I had many questions, and I had found the answers for that, and I have addressed to it. Most of it is kind of a clash between romanticism and industrialization, kind of that concept, and life after death, kind of that philosophy.
Okay. So, when did you write the book and when did you publish it?
It was in 2020, I believe. 2020 or 2020, I believe.
Okay. So,
It
did
was
you?
a weekend project. I Every weekend I write one chapter. So seven
Okay.
chapters.
I'm also thinking of writing a book.
Yeah,
I
do it. It is. See. when you do art, as I said before, you have to excel first. But when you're starting to do it, don't think of perfection at all. Write it, whatever comes to your mind, whatever you have, however you feel, write it down. Don't edit it when you're
Okay.
writing it. Write it down, then after that, sit and edit.
Okay. I think this advice, I've heard this advice. I think Jordan Peterson says this. Don't edit while you're writing. Right?
Yes. Every writer will say this. Like there will be an editor sitting on your shoulder, and he will direct you. Don't write this. Don't do this. Don't put your. Don't. There is a grammatical error. Don't listen to him. Just keep writing. Just vomit all the ideas that you have onto paper. After that, you can edit it.
Yeah. Well, that's I do that already. Like I do when I write essays in on my Instagram. I there are some times when the editor he says, okay, don't write this because you're in a college and you have friends who are going to read this, and like it's too revealing. My Instagram is the the true version of me, right? So when I write things, it's absolutely pure and it has to be pure. So I don't edit anything. Like I when I feel okay, this thing I shouldn't say it, I shouldn't write it down, I do it anyways. So there was a post where I criticized my own college, right? I criticized the teachers, the students, and everything, and I thought that I shouldn't do this.
There is
Like, and I even tagged them, tagged my
no.
my college page. Okay, light is back.
There is another debate on this. Either editing, what I talk about editing is not cutting off ideas. It is only the grammatical and the punctuations.
Okay.
Ideas, whatever you have to write it. See, that is freedom of speech. You have to talk out whatever you want to talk about. But at the same time, you have to be little empathetic towards things where you should not I would not advise you to go full on head on to it. You can voice out your ideas,
Hmm.
and you have to do it in a beautiful way.
Hmm. Uh,
In that sense, I would say if you have time and if you have not read, you can read Arundhati Roy.
can you repeat that?
Arundhati Roy.
Okay, Arundhati Roy. All right. Gods and small things, I guess.
Yes,
Gods of
yes.
small things or gods and small things.
God of
Yeah.
something, yes.
Okay, okay, okay.
And she
Arundhati Roy.
has some strong philosophies, not philosophies, yeah, philosophies. So that uh, she expresses in a very beautiful way.
Hmm.
No filters. There will not be any filters. It is only her views in her own way, a strong views, but in a very beautiful sense.
Okay. So which book of Arundhati Roy will you recommend me to start off with?
You can read. There is one other book, Broken Republic.
Broken Republic. All right.
Yes. Uh, there is one on capitalism. I'm not sure. It is capitalism, I believe.
All right. Have you read
You can
Salman?
you can. Huh?
Have you read Salman Rushdie?
No, but I want to. I have not started with this books. I have to.
Which is your
It,
favorite fiction book?
there's a lot. It's a long list. I cannot put my hand on that. It's a long list. One thing that I could say is I was once fascinated with Japanese literature.
Okay.
Uh, the normal one is Haruki Murakami. Most of them
Uh,
would have read. There is one other author called Banana Yoshimoto.
okay.
Then Kobo Abe, Ryu Murakami, and I forgot another. The Mind Police. I forgot her name. There are a lot of good authors, writers from Japanese
Japan.
literature.
Okay. I have bought a lot of books of. I've read Men Without Women by Murakami because
Yes.
I watched his film. There's a film adaptation of that
Mm,
book,
mm.
one chapter of the book, and I've read his Sputnik Summer, and that's it. He's a quite like he's a very good writer. He writes mostly about from what I have
Hello.
like. Okay, my can you hear me now?
Yeah. I can.
Okay, so from what I have read of him, I think he writes mostly about like his books are very nostalgic. Even if
Mm.
like while I was reading Men Without Women, the stories that he talked about, it felt so. See, books are so relatable that it the stories felt okay. I know this guy, this kind of a guy, or like, things like that, and it's very nostalgic. Men Without Women was in particular.
He doesn't write from a hero's perspective. It is more of an underdog, life of an underdog kind of a thing.
Yeah. So Murakami. So, did you self-publish your book?
Yes, I did it through Amazon KDP,
And there is no
Kindle
hard,
Direct Publishing.
your printed
No, there's no
version
hard copy for that. But if you're printing it, if you want to print it, they also have an option to print it. If I didn't print it because it is only 30 pages. If you go for more than 100 pages, you can go for a print also. Only thing is they'll ask for a royalty or a service charge.
Okay. All right. So I was looking for, so on YouTube, I was searching for how to find publications, right, in order to publish my
Yeah,
book.
you can. There are a lot of online publications now. Notion Press is one of an online publication, and there are a lot of online publications now who also do your PR.
Editing? Oh, a PR. Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
so
I can.
you can explain.
Uh, so I mean, so before writing, so when I started off writing a book, I was in first semester of my college, and when I started, when I thought of stories, it's very easy to think of stories. Like I had so many stories, and that's why I started writing the book in the first place. So the title of the book was The Boxer, right? And I was writing the book, and it was going to be about three chapters. I wrote one chapter, but when I started writing, when I started adding the details in the book, it became very difficult for me to write it because one thing I thought that it's quite basic. Uh, the language is quite basic. You know, it's not very nuanced, and I wanted it to be more nuanced. I was reading Metamorphosis at the time by Franz Kafka. So I said, well, okay, I'll read the book and I'll try to use those words that Kafka uses to describe my character. But then it felt unoriginal and I gave up. Right? I said, well, I'm going to read 10 books before I'm going to write one. Because see, I started reading books quite late in my life. Right? I started right before right after I graduated from high school. And the first book, unfortunately, that I read was a self-help book, The Power of Habit by Charles Dickens. That's I think that's how people start off with reading books when they grow, like when they become like around high school or in college, because that's what's famous, right? When you want to start a book, read this book, it will improve your life, it will change your life, things like that. So I also started off with self-help. I finished that book, and after that, just went on and read a lot of philosophy, but I haven't read a lot of fiction. Kafka, and I haven't read a lot of fiction. And mostly it's autobiographical, like it's Kushwant Singh, Alain de Botton, and it is your Murakami. So, and I was writing a fiction. So it became very difficult for me to add the nuance. So, do you have any advice on how to write in a more nuanced sense to add more details to my character? Like, do I need to read more, or like there is
You have,
some?
you have to read more. As much as you read, you will have the imagination to write. So
Hmm.
it is only in reading, and or if you want, you can collect experience. You can travel, you can talk to whatever you are doing now. You can collect experiences from people. This is what I call collecting characters. So whenever I am outside or in the office, I look at people, how they react, what they do, uh, yeah, and collect their character. Give them a question, what they will do, what if they are put in this kind of a situation, how they would react for their character. So
Hmm.
what happens is you will have a character arc at that point of time. First, what when you start writing, you have to have a character arc for your character. So you build your character, give it a backstory, tell what your character is, and build the characteristics of that character. Then you start writing your story. So when you put a question to that character, so if the character falls in love, and if that character is an introvert, how will that introvert love a person? How would he meet a girl? Being
Hmm.
an introvert, he will be in his room always. So how would he meet a character? Social media, or whenever he goes out for a coffee there. So how will he meet the girl? If he's an introvert and if the girl is an introvert, this love will not happen otherwise. If there is no catalyst, so there should be a catalyst, there should be an extrovert friend, or this girl should be an extrovert. So that is how you can create your characters. First you create your characters, and writing, when you're writing it, you need not have fancy English. English is a medium of
Communication.
language that you use to communicate. So first what you do is you build your character. Then when you pose questions to that character and you see how they trade, that you can write it. You can then you can articulate into words. That will be easier.
Hmm.
First,
See,
that will be easy.
okay. So, but then, so great works of fiction, right? Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, and Harry Potter, all these things. So, how do you think that is written? Because that's so far off from, so much detached from reality. It's so much fictional. How do you think that is written? How does
See,
the writer come up with
that
that?
is that is the beauty of how they make you believe. One easy thing, from Harry Potter, you take off all the magical aspects.
Hmm.
What is the story about? It is an orphan boy who gets three friends from his school, and how the friends help him throughout his life. That is the story. So first you write that.
So, okay, so you were talking about Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. Okay. So as you see in Harry Potter, no, you have that distinction. You have those three characters, and you have that world. So if you take off that world from them, and if you see it is those characters. So when you write your world, no, what you can do is you first create the characters and create the world, and you ask the question, what would they do if they are put in that world? And that is how your character grows and your story arc grows. The same thing is with Star Wars. So and there is a blog that compares Star Wars to Harry Potter. So they have compared character by character, and they say that there are like comparable points between these two story arcs. So that is your cue. What you can do is you have to create a world, put your characters into that, and you see how they react to that world.
Hmm.
For that, what you do is you have to write your character first. You have to give them a backstory, and you have to give them the character arc. Then you create a world, put them into the world, and see how they trade.
Hmm. So one thing that happened with me is that when I started uh, to write a book. So before I used to write a book, think of writing a book, and after when I tried writing a book, the way that I read books, it changed. Right. So now that I read a book, I am always focused on or mesmerized by how the writer he talks about the characters, the character traits, or anything in general. How does he signify, or how does he, what words does he use to refer to something? And that is something that I'm more focused on now, because before, when I thought of writing books, I was just consume the words as they were without thinking about it. So did that happen to you too?
Actually, yes. The concept is when I started reading, uh, in the idea of writing something, I was intimidated by how a character is written and how they have, characterized a person and the character arc of that person. I get intimidated. Then I thought, why not learn from them? Like how to write character, how to understand the character and use them in a story. So that kind of an understanding it gave me, and I have taken points from various authors that I've read, and I have used it. So I can understand where you're coming from, where your whole the spectrum of your reading would have changed.
So your book's name is the Cosmic Desire, right? The Cosmic Dance.
The
How
cosmic
did
dance.
how did you come up with that name?
Uh, Actually, it is the first chapter uh, where the protagonist is asked a question, and a certain thing happens in his head. How he perceives that question is the point. It is kind of a cosmic thing that he thinks about, and that is how I came up with that name. And it also refers to, if you see it spiritually, it refers to Lord Shiva. So that is what I've been said. So it kind of loosely, that answer that he gets is loosely based on how we perceive things. So that is how I came up with that name. And I was more, driven towards the cosmic thing at that point of a time. When I was writing that, I was reading more of the nebula, the cosmos, and all. So it was kind of a fantasy that I wanted to create.
Hmm. Have you read any book by Kushwan Singh?
No, not yet. It is in my to be read list. So maybe I'll read it.
I love see the Kushwan Singh is my all-time favorite writer, like because he
Mhm.
only writes about just from ranging from just benign things that we don't even focus at, we don't think about, like talking about nature. He's from Delhi, so he talks about nature and Delhi's nature and the birds and the trees. And to write about that, it requires a lot of uh, a lot of how do I describe it? Assessment of these things. You have to spend a lot of time with these things in order to write about them, and to characterize them also it's very difficult. So that's why I really like Khushwant Singh, and I want to write a book like that, like a book about just the things that I see in everyday life and I observe. So now, and now I carry a small this pocket diary, and I keep on writing things, noticing things. I note them down when I see a squirrel. I note them down. What uh, does that make? How does that make me feel? How does sunshine make me feel? Or green grass, lush green grasses. So I always jot these things down because I want to write a book. which is about just is God of simple things, God of small things. What was the name of the book? God of Small Things, right? Arundhati Roy.
Yeah, got it. Yes.
Is it about that? Is it about just beauty in
No,
everything?
it is kind of a fiction where she talks about her birthplace. She talks about people from Kerala. So
Oh, okay,
it is
okay,
about that.
okay, okay. Anyway, but I want to write a book about just everything, just nature and people. Yeah. So, okay. I don't know what to ask you. Okay. Do you like to travel?
Yeah, I do love to travel. I have traveled, but for quite some time I could not travel to a lot of places that I wish to. I'm planning it. It will happen in the next 2 years. So I've made a extensive plan of traveling in next 2 years.
Well, okay, to be honest, so alright, if anyone is going to watch this, we lost the recording of this part of the podcast. But to repeat the entire conversation, it seems, it feels so, again, hypocritical. Like, my point to
Into
do this,
artificial, yes.
uh,
It feels like something we have plugged in.
it's so artificial. So it is very contradictory to do this. I'm not going to do at least on the first episode of my podcast. I will probably do it later on, but this is special, right? This episode. So I'm not going to repeat the. It doesn't feel natural, right? To repeat the entire thing. So we talked about travel. We talked how about how you traveled. You've been to France. You want to go to Norway. Want to see Northern Lights, and you are very what excited about or interested in the culture of Norway and also Vietnam. You also want to travel to Vietnam. Other than that, yeah, that's all we talked about. We lost that recording because of me. All
No,
right,
that's okay.
but yeah, and rookie mistake. All right, I was thinking what would go wrong. This is the first episode, and I was thinking, okay, can anything go wrong? And,
See, when nothing goes wrong, we will not remember it. When everything goes wrong, no, we will remember that point of a time.
I'll remember this podcast, I guess, forever because right when we started the podcast, your electricity,
There was a current time.
it was right when we started the podcast. You introduced yourself and the electricity went off. All right. But other than that, I guess we should end it, right? Can the podcast. So, but then again, I want to I'll again say this. Thank you so much for being on my podcast. I'm very honored. I really wanted to start this podcast with you because, again, I sort of look up to you. I had a teacher in my 12th standard in my high school, an English teacher, and he is also South Indian. His name is Pratyush Natarajan, and he's very much. He even, I guess, he even looks like you, sort of. Maybe you know him. He is interested in science. He was an English teacher, and he used to teach us about Einstein's theory of relativity and space-time continuum. And when he used to read the poems, he used to interpret it in such a great depth. Right? I remember there was a
Mm.
just one line about space and time, and any other teacher would have just skipped it or just paraphrased that line. But what he did that he went into such a great depth. He explained us about Einstein and his theory of relativity, and he went into all of that just to explain that one sentence of a poem. So you are sort of, and I look up to him. Like I want to be somewhat like him. He's sort of a factotum. He knows about everything, and he's quite an intelligent person. And you are also like that. And as I said,
Thank
I
you.
find a lot of similarities between you and I because again, everything I do, you're one step ahead. You're an engineer, right? So yeah, thank you so much for being. And
I'm flattered, and I'm glad that I could do this with you. And I wish that you write a book and you get it published so that I can buy and read it.
and I okay again. You plugged your book and podcast the last time. I want you to do that again.
Okay. The podcast is The Mind Trap. You can listen it in Spotify and Anchor. The book is called The Cosmic Dance by Rameshwar. You can get it from Amazon and Kindle. So
Hmm.
those are my two things that happen. Yeah.
All right, and I'll post the links. I'll put the links in the description. And should I also give your Instagram?
Yeah, my Instagram is at Viram Writes. VIRAMWRITES.
Okay. All right, and yeah, that's it. And yeah, I wish you all the best for your future endeavors. And
Thank you so
I
much. You do
also
the same.
wish your podcast takes off, and also you write your next book, and that also sells quite a lot of copies.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So thank you so much, and have a great night. And
You too.
call me on my podcast. Call me on your podcast someday.
For sure, for sure. I'll host you once. Once I have idea for two podcasts, so maybe the next third will be yours. Maybe I'll plan accordingly to that.
Thank you so much. I'll be honored.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So have a good night.
Good night.